John, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for being with us this afternoon.
Oh, Taimour, thank you very much for the invitation. I really do appreciate being with you.
Thank you. John, for people who, viewers who don't know you, I know that you've consulted companies like Zappos, CB Richard Ellis, for service solutions. I know you're an in-demand speaker by various universities and organizations across the world. You've written multiple books, Travel Leadership, which was a New York bestseller, where you were one of the co-authors. I think you've got some deep expertise, some deep knowledge, some deep inquiries that you've been through that I think viewers of this episode would be really interested in learning about.
Well, thank you. That's very generous of you to say that, and thank you for mentioning some of the nicer parts of my career.
Today's conversation and really the theme is all around relationships and tribes.
Yes.
The context, the background context is, a lot of corporations really know that they need to invest and utilize digital technologies, whether it's social media, mobile apps, Internet of
Yes.
everything, robotics, analytics, big data, and so on.
Yes.
So during my interview process with executives in digital media or digital technologies around the world, I've started to discover a few challenges that they are all seem to be bumping into, where I thought an interview with you would be of value to them.
Well, thank you.
Relationships specifically.
It's really, that you're bringing up these areas of concern, these areas of interest. This is the hot stuff for the 21st century. So I think you're right on the head of the curve in terms of being having your interest where the biggest breakthroughs are going to occur and where all the excitement is. So thanks for asking me, and thanks for having me interview in this particular area.
Thank you. So my first question is revolves around a case, around something called the business case.
Business case, yes, okay.
And specifically, here's the context towards it. I'm a young digital executive guy. I work in a company. We live in a world that the C-suite, if you will, is constantly changing. The CFO got fired, or CEO got fired, or somebody retired, somebody moved from one company to another, and now I'm at a point where I have to. I find myself constantly justifying the business case on
Yes.
why the company should invest in digital technologies. Another way of it is, the cost of acquisition of a customer online is going up.
Mm-hmm.
And so it looks like the cost of the business case that I'm asking from companies that, especially if they have limited resources, is challenging. And the best case scenario was about 2 weeks ago. I was facilitating an event with retail executives. And the head of a digital technologies from one of these retailers said, Taimour, when I go to the CEO and I ask for $10 million, what I'm competing against is the other guy who's asking for $10 million, but he's giving him a store. So the CEO knows, or the CFO knows what they're getting if they give that guy $10 million, and I'm asking for something like digital technology, and I can't tell you. I think I'm going to tell you what it is I'm going to give you, and behind their mind, it's like, I don't know, how do I compete with the guy who's asking for 10 million? He's going to give you a brand new store because you know what you're going to do with the revenues for that.
Mm-hmm.
So the business case around digital technologies is becoming a little bit challenging, especially for folks who don't have any formal training on how do you pitch and how do you get people engaged.
Mm-hmm.
So my first question to you is that if you were consulting a company on how do you pitch for that business case, what are some things that you would ask them to consider specifically, and how do you get people on board?
Okay, well, great question. First of all, I like your example of, shall we say, someone who's selling bricks and mortar versus somebody who's selling vaporware. where it just seems like it's smoke and mirrors. It isn't smoke and mirrors by any means, and anybody who is in this generation, anyone who is what we call a digital native, actually knows how solid this is, how strong this is, but it isn't necessarily readily apparent to the people who are in the C-suite, especially if you've been having some kind of revolving door in the C-suite and people have been going in and out because of performance issues or health issues or retirement or whatever it happens to be. Mm-hmm. But I would say that, first of all, I love this old rule from a long way ago, which is keep it simple, stupid. So we're going to kind of kiss this sort of answer. And what I'd say is that the background for this is leadership. And by this, what I mean by leadership is the background of this is that a leader is able to create an environment in which people flourish. So in the C-suite, the CEO's job and all of the C-suite officers, their job is to create an environment for their particular area of interest in which people can feel free to contribute. They feel safe. They feel there. So safety is the very first thing. We don't get anything. Maslow was the guy who told us this, and he was right, that we don't get anything at all well done unless there's a sense of safety in the organization. And that means everything from I'm not going to get mugged going from here to the parking structure to file cabinets aren't going to fall on me and stuff off of file cabinets to I'm actually safe making and pitching ideas to my peers. I won't be suffering ridicule by that. I'll be respected, and I will be safe in pitching ideas even if they're conflicting with the opinion, the assessment, or the judgment of the person I report to. So safety is the number one thing. Safety is the ground of being or the basis of relationship. What's going to make it work is going to be the quality of our relationships. So there's three things about the quality of our relationship in the organization that are critically important. The first thing is core values. So it's in the realm of core values. So what we've done is we've created a background of safety and relationship, and now we're going to the specifics. And the specifics or the content inside of this are, one, that we have resonant core values. We do not have to have the same core values as the other people on the team. We have to have values that resonate with them and actually enhance them and actually kind of fill out the quality of their relationship. So let's say I'm working with someone, and one of the critical things that people have in common usually is a relationship to integrity. Now, you may say it one way, the boss may say it one way, my coworkers may say it one way, and I may say it another, and the way I may say it is I may talk about loyalty, or I may talk about honesty, or I may talk about kind of the ethical consideration here. The important thing is what I'm talking about and what you're talking about makes music together. It resonates with each other. So we're looking for a harmonic. I'm not looking for that I have the same core values as you, and many people are mistaken about that. I am looking that my core values and your core values dance together. They enhance each other, and they make for a fuller, richer kind of harmony, if that makes sense. So the first thing is the core values, because those are our drivers. In terms of our relationship, in terms of the safety of our relationship, bless you, in terms of all of that, the fact that we have resonant core values gives us an enormous head start as we approach the second piece of it. The second piece is our project. The project actually has to be something that you look at, I look at, and everyone who is on the team or the package that is producing this project looks at as something that's going to open something up for us. So it's not just that it's going to make money. It's not just that it's going to be something that is a cool thing to do. It actually has to forward the mission of the company. It has to forward the purpose line of what it is that we're all working on. So I'm in line with this, you're in line with this, everybody that's working in this is in line with this, and we're working on this project, which the design of the project is to open up and forward the mission or the purpose of what our company was designed to do. The third thing is that what it opens up, that which the mission is being fulfilled with, is viewed by all of us as a noble cause, as something that was really worthwhile. So to kind of recap this, we've got an environment of relationship and safety, or safety and relationship, I would say first, in which there are people who have resonant core values and are working together collaboratively on a project that is not only producing something along the purpose line and the mission line of the company, but is something that we all consider to be a noble project or has a noble cause about it. Does that respond to what you were asking?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, kind of what I'm hearing from you, if I may, or what I'm learning from you is, assuming that I was going to pitch you, assuming you're the CEO of a major corporation, I'm the head chief digital officer guy, and I'm going to be coming to pitch you on my business budget, need, whatever it is, my business. Prior to me walking to your office on pitch day to present, what's useful for me to do is get to actually know you better. And when I'm getting to know you better, you know, we can talk about, I don't know, the sky or, you know, the political party in town. But we need to listen for what are your core values. What are some things you care about?
Yes.
You kind of see where some mutual beliefs, common places where we have about the direction of the business.
Right. I actually would say, rather than talking about the political figure right now, which that is such an incendiary thing, what I would do is I would actually have a conversation with the person about what's important in their life, which will probably be their family and the activities of their kids and what they want for the future for themselves and their company. Because in that conversation we're going to hear value after value after value after value come down. It is not possible to talk about my kids and my grandchildren in this case and you not hear the commitments and the values that I have, and also the commitments and the values that the kid has. So that's my legacy. So talk to people about their legacy. Talk to people about what it is that they're creating in life.
What's your legacy? That's real. Awesome. John, the other question that I have for you is, as I work with chief digital officers around the world, one of the things I've noticed is they stumble upon, they get stuck on something that you and I refer to as siloed divisions.
Silos, yes.
A lot of corporations, when they want to hire a chief digital officer, typically they hire a younger person who's coming more from that role, has a relationship, relatedness to digital technologies that aren't.
Yes.
And oftentimes they're working for corporations where it's very silo-driven.
Yes.
And for that individual, the chief digital officer, to be effective in their job and accomplishing their objectives for the year, they need to be very effective at working across silos.
Yes.
And so, as a senior consultant in the industry, as a person who's worked with a lot of these folks, helping, coaching folks and working around silos, what are some thoughts you have if somebody hired you as a consultant to assist them?
Well, I think, first of all, a beautiful tee up for a situation that is just needs to get solved, because we are in transition. We're in the middle of a renaissance, and it is a renaissance of the mind, as they all are, And in this renaissance, we're going from a kind of, I'm going to call industrial thinking, into the thinking of the new digital age. So you're right. A lot of times companies realize, well, we need to actually put some resources into digital. Let's get some fresh, young, hotshot in here who can kind of lead the way and get us going. And once we figured out what he's got, we'll get rid of him because we'll do things our way anyway. And so what I'm going to say is a lot of times these young hotshots who are brilliant and who grew up as digital natives are being transplanted into an analog kind of environment where nobody gets them. And it's not what I'd call a nurturing environment. You know, it's like if I'm going to plant the flower, I want to plant the flower in fertile soil. Analog is not a fertile soil for the digital environment and for the digital fruit to occur. So the person coming in has got a couple of important things that they have to take into consideration. And these are vital not only for his personal or her personal survival, which is the least of it, but for the actual tethering of this analog company to a digital commitment so that they can make the transition into the 21st century, if that makes any sense at all. So now we got a tiny little element, the IT department, the digital executive kind of place that is, oh, those weird guys over there and all of us who know how to do things really. And in the beginning, we know that in the beginning of any revolution or evolution, there's always resistance. So there's always going to be resistance. Okay, so this is what's important for this young person to do, or for the person who's in this position. One, they have to have a champion. And they have to have a champion who outranks most people in the company and has influence across several silos. That champion is going to be the person who opens the doors to them to begin to build their relationships with the senior people in the other silos. What there is to do is for them to develop a relationship, which is to say a friendship, with the people without putting a demand on people, but to develop a sense of affinity. And how you do that goes back to what I was talking about a few minutes ago. You share stories about your family, about things that are important to you, and you get on a harmonic with the people from those other silos who are running those other silos in terms of your values. Okay? You don't introduce your project yet. You just develop a friendship, the normal, natural way people would develop a friendship, by sharing things that say that I can respect and value what you are up to and what you're into. And they show a real interest in what those silo bosses are doing. What do they think? What is their job? How does their job fit into the puzzle of getting things done? And what they're doing is they're listening to what other people do, and they're allowing themselves to be taught the really kind of deeper, values-driven part of other people's silos. Then they go away. Then they come back. They ask them to coffee or something like that, and maybe 2 or 3 of them. But they bring them together and they say, here's where I think I can help you as a digital executive. Here's where I think I can make life easier for you, make it more fluid for you, make it more interesting for you, and if this is something you're interested in, here's probably what I'm going to need from you in order to get it done. In other words, you set expectations. So you've listened. You've learned. You've thought about it. Now you've come back and you've said, friend, I think we can take our level, even though it's out of my silo, to another level. And I think with you and me and Bob and Sylvia and Susan, I think we can put together a whole way of looking at this that will, on the shoulders of your department and her department and his department, we can actually lift the whole division like that. And I didn't get this idea until I talked to you, Bob, or to you, Sylvia. So this is something we're all thinking about and we're all leaders in.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So kind of like the lesson that I'm taking away from this is to look at an organization from a cow web of relationships and their human relationships.
Okay.
So if I was going to walk into a company as a chief digital officer, I would look for who are my influencers and how do I build a relationship with them instead of just jumping into my job right away. And then
big mistake, by the way, to jump into your job right away, even though there's an enormous pull for it. Big mistake. You got to learn who you're working with.
Absolutely. And then the second thing I would do is really go to work at listening for what are the silo divisional heads, what do they care about personally.
Yes.
And the more of these, I completely appreciate and understand that in many organizations we work on quarterly objectives. Did you meet your quarterly objectives?
Yep.
I completely understand that. But also what I'm learning from this conversation is to create a structure where I'm constantly building a relationship with silos. And yes, that will take time. It doesn't happen overnight. But by more relationships I build in a cow web of relationships, the more effective I'm going to be at delivering my objectives in a quarterly siloed way.
Yes, and I'll tell you, there's a little secret deal to this too. If you can talk to the people who are controlling the silo, and what you're doing is you're setting up something between them that is, if you're really smart, their idea, and you do them the favor of making the digital office very much their toy, at least in their mind. You then start to build a stealth relationship within the company. And if you can build a stealth relationship with 3 or more, the great number is about 6 members of the different heads of different silos, just take your time, get it done. Spend your first 3 months doing that, of building the relationship, seeing how you can serve the others, and building that relationship that is us as the heroic team that's going to actually lift the company and cause it to have a breakthrough in its purpose line and in its mission. Then what you've done is you've built the kind of relationships that will serve you no matter where you go. You know, nothing occurs in a vacuum. You came from somewhere, so when you showed up, it was not just you, Taimour, but it was you and it was your entire contingency of people who follow you, know you, like you, want to help you, would like to be involved with you, would like to play with you. Now you're working over at ABC Company, and you're the new digital officer, and you're making friends with the guy in procurement and the guy in various places in the value chain who are running the various silos, and you are coming to them saying, I've got this enormously powerful tool. If between us we can figure out how you can use it best, then what you've done is you've served that person, and they not only have access to you, but they have access to all your old friends and supporters and business associates from the past. So you always want to bring all of that as part of your package, that not only are you who you are, but you are who you know and who you can bring in, who can help Bob or Susan with their issue.
I love it. That's brilliant. That is brilliant. You know, one of the other things that I'm constantly coming across when it comes to digital executives is this whole conversation called conversion. I have a company has that, I'm making this up, 1 million Facebook likes,
Uh-huh.
thousands of Twitter followers.
Yes.
They're constantly challenged with how do I convert people who are online followers into an offline customer? And John, what most people don't know about you and your background is that you have been in show business. You've produced Broadway shows, you've been television, you've just been in show business in various forms.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you've done a fantastic job being in that industry. From a show business perspective, what advice would you have that would help a digital officer convert online followers into offline customers?
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for outing me as a recovering showbiz guy. Yes. I will say that everything that I learned of real value in business, I learned in show business. It's a very, very black and white, hard business, and it lets you know immediately if you passed or failed. The rewards are tremendous because it's a venture. You're never involved in anything that is a sure thing, even though you like to think you are. But it teaches you how to do things like pitch. It teaches you how to do things like come up with ideas that are, as they say, out of the box. You talk to a person in show business and you say you got to be thinking out of the box. He has no idea what you're saying because that's all he does is think out of the box. So in this area of conversion, we have this all the time. How do you know if your investment in your show, which is all made up front, all the money is front loaded into this, and you are hoping that somehow your distribution chain, which is marketing and distribution and stuff like that, is going to put the product out there in such a way that people are going to be compelled to leave their homes and get in their cars and drive to your venue to see your artist or to see your piece of work, so on like that. This is no small trick. It requires a lot of things, including word of mouth. But what it really gets down to is that you in your heart, now this is going to be maybe an interesting answer for you, maybe not, but I'm going to tell you that it gets down to the leader, and it gets down to their, after numbers have been run, and we've done all of the metrics, and you've done all of the qualitative and quantitative analysis on it and everything else like that, it gets down to your gut. Is this something that people want to consume? Is this a product that is going to create a benefit to them personally? Is it going to create a benefit to their family or to their community? You have to pass the personal family community test. If the product or service is going to be a benefit ultimately to the person, the group, the family, the tribe, or the community, then you've got a shot at something. Then you've got to go into it with everything you've got. There is no such thing as not being all in show business. There's just no such thing. You got to do it all out or not. One of the places where you can look at it currently is on television on a program called So You Think You Can, no, Dancing with the Stars. Dancing with the Stars. And right now, there are people on there who are not dancers, who are dancing their tails off because they put themselves into and under the mentorship of a master teacher and choreographer, and they come out and they do phenomenal stuff far beyond what you would think they could do, and even a dancer looking at them would say that person's been dancing all of their life. There's a little girl from her name is Sadie, and she is from the Duck Dynasty. This girl had no background, zero background whatsoever, but the person that she's working with is such a brilliant teacher mentor that he is able to bring this performance out of her, and the girl just dances. There's no getting past it. Well, converting people is something like that. Converting people is something like you've got the view. First of all, you put yourself inside of the mentorship of someone who is a master instead of trying to do everything yourself, because you are not going to get it done by yourself. So you put yourself into the coaching and the mentorship of someone who is a master, and you do what they say all out. Second of all, is your project driven by values that are going to support you personally? You get a benefit out of it, your family and your tribe going to be benefited by this. So is it an enriching sort of thing? And does it open something up that is inspiring? That part, the part that this is inspiring and will enhance your life, is the point at which, for example, a movie like Frozen, which is the Pixar movie, has been a blockbuster winner because people know that if I take my children to it, our lives are going to be enhanced. The children are going to learn values in the movie. They're going to learn values in the show that are going to help us in our family, and they're going to help them in growing up into being citizens of the tribe or the community that they belong to. So if you begin to put your map or your measurement over the human values, and even though it's business, know that businesses are driven by relationship, and they're driven by the long term. We're not selling hula hoops where it's a fad and you're going to do this on a one-time basis. We are trying to turn you into a customer for life. And the only way we can do it is providing a value add to our service or our product that has you literally stroke the pen, hold the tablet, show it to someone else, and what you're showing and sharing is the benefit that it's creating for you, the joy that it's creating for you, the fun it's creating for you, your family, and or your tribe, and how if we all use this together, we could all be in this crazy great place. So it's not unlike the job of digital executive, where he has to convince a whole analog world, and he will find, or she will find, those people who are in the analog world, but their heart is over there in digital. Those are your first kind of low-hanging fruit that you want to get enrolled. Doesn't matter what they do. Doesn't matter where they work. Doesn't matter anything at all, except that what you're doing is you're making these analog ambassadors to the digital world, and you're training them and you're building relationship with them by serving them. So how do we convert? Well, the customer is exactly the same as the people who are your internal customers, who are the people you're working with. That's just all it is an external customer. Make your customer your partner. Make your customer someone who, if they interact with you, they're going to walk away with value and maybe even a little happiness, a little joy. It doesn't matter whether it's show business or whether it's hospital, health care, or if you're doing tax revenues. It does not matter. If you're an executive in today's world and you do not realize that part of your job is show business, part of your job is sharing it in a way that it's beneficial to many, many more people, you are a blockhead. You are missing the point. An executive is someone who creates an environment and enrolls people into that environment, engages people, inspires people, motivates people into that environment. And it takes a lot more than offering money. It takes a commitment, and it takes the visible manifestation of your core values to other people, and they're trading those core values with you. That's how you know you're on good ground. Does that make sense?
And it does. Thank you so much. That's lovely. That's very rich. Thank you. Just my last question, John, is I'd love to kind of get a sense of what you're up to, if you can share with people who are watching this. That
What about,
are you writing the next bestseller? Are you inventing
well,
best?
I'm doing a bunch of stuff. I'm on a bit of a sabbatical right now. I mean, literally right now as we think, and so I'm doing a lot of thinking, and I'm thinking about how I want to shape the next book that I'm writing. And I've gone through a lot of shifts on this, but I'm very clear. I don't want it to look like a normal business book. Nothing wrong with normal business books, but I don't want it to look like that. I'd actually like to be sharing more of my heart. I'd like to be sharing more of the deep thinking that I've put into the areas of relationship and organizations and the cultures of organizations and the strategy for moving organizations from one place to another. So I'm doing a lot of thinking about that, and I'm preparing myself. In about 6 weeks, I'm going to be in Kuala Lumpur, and I'm going to be teaching at a leadership academy there called the Southeast Asia Leadership Academy, and I'll be teaching these ideas that I've been thinking about. And then in March, I'm going to the Middle East, and I'm going to teach at the Middle East Leadership Academy, and then in June, I'll be at the Central Eurasian Leadership Academy in Istanbul. So what I'm getting ready to do is travel a lot, which means what I'm trying to do is lose a lot of weight, because whenever I go, I eat too much and I gain weight. But I get to participate at these leadership academies with people who have been selected by their country as the high potential leader, either in politics or in the basic industries and services of that country. For example, Kyrgyzstan has one of the largest gold mines in the world, and we have on staff the woman who is number 2 in the running of that, the HR department of that gold mine, but she also is also running the Central Eurasian Leadership Academy, and because she sees what it brings. So we've got people who are in the parliament in Afghanistan who are being trained by us. We've got people in Armenia who are the Minister of Culture, who is one of our alumni. We've got people who are in public offices who are ready to assume what is next in terms of leadership in the world and at the world-class level. These are smart people. These are people who have prepared their entire lives to be this, and these are people who are using our tools to move their careers and actually uplift their countries as well. So for me, that's the noble cause, is the uplifting of cultures, and so that's what I'm thinking about lately, and that's what I've been doing lately.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And John, my final question is,
yes.
How does somebody get hold of you if they're interested in asking you some questions, getting you engaged in a project, calling for some advice, consulting?
Well, thank you. Well, wow, a plug. I would be a bad show business guy if I didn't end on a note like that, so I really appreciate your asking me that question. There's 2 ways, essentially. One is the easiest, is my email, and my email is super, super easy. I have a feeling, for example, if I reach out and touch you, like this, you're my partner, okay? So my email address is John King Partners, that's in a plural, johnkingpartners@gmail.com. So that'll get to me, and I will respond to that. My phone number is in America, so it's a +1. It's 818-519-1021, 818-519-1021. And I'd be very, very happy to hear from you, as I am, or anyone that happens to be seeing this broadcast.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John.
Thank you, Taimour. You take care, and everybody else, thank you.